When I worked as a nurse practitioner, I sat with a lot of people who were undergoing changes in their body and how they interacted with them. And sometimes these changes left them feeling at odds with their body and sometimes even at war with their body. And then my own body began to unravel a little bit with a chronic illness, COVID, and a concussion. And I needed to learn how to listen to it differently and refriend it. It was a really long process. It's still ongoing. And it has given me so many lessons in how to slow down and truly listen to what my body is trying to tell me. And this is what led me to create something that I call wild body companioning. Wild body companioning is a really gentle, body aware practice where you learn how to listen to what your body is saying and reconnect with your intuition. It's not therapy, and it's not about pushing through or learning to push past the limitations that our body is placing on us. It's a space where we can pause and really get curious about what the body is saying and to refriend it. So, if you come to a session together, we will listen to the quiet messages that your body is trying to tell you. We'll do this through sensations and breath and awareness and just a quiet listening to what is coming up and emerging in that moment on that day. This is a session that I especially wanted to provide for people who are going through a medical illness, chronic illness, maybe even a terminal diagnosis, or people who are going through other types of change with their body. Maybe it's perimenopause, maybe you are transitioning. Also, for people who have medical trauma or general life trauma, for those who maybe feel really disconnected from their body because of the type of work they do that demands a pushing through no matter how you're actually feeling. And also those people that grew up in a spiritual framework that separated the body as something that needed to be controlled and ignored and elevated the spirit. And so bringing all that back together into the body and really learning how to listen to it is really at the heart of this work. If this resonates with you, I wrote a longer article about it. I'll put the link in the description below, along with the link to book a session if you're interested. The first session is free so that you can kind of see what it's all about and see if we might be a good fit. And then after that, I have a standard rate. Now I'm really excited to read a poem that I wrote called Wild Body that is a reflection of the changes and loss that I went through and my desire for wholeness and wellness and acceptance of what my body and brain are doing right now. As I read, you'll see me create a piece of mixed media art where I draw tulips and then I dried and pressed some tulips and layered them on top of the drawing. Tulips felt like the right companion for this message because of their delicacy and their beauty and the different phases they go through, blooming and falling apart, the leaves falling off. There's this kind of wild honesty in their life cycle that I thought would really represent this theme of wild body companioning. So as you watch the tulips come to life on the page, I invite you to pause and breathe, settle in, and receive this poem as a kind of invitation to stay with yourself right here in the body that you're in. There was a time when my hands held histories and healing and the weight of other people's pain. With the sacredness that it is. I sat in rooms thick with quiet, where dying wasn't the enemy, just another passage in a life full of them. I learned to listen to bodies that spoke in symptoms, in silence, in the kind of grief that lodges in the chest and rises unspoken to the throat. But then, my own body began to speak. Not in words, but in the language of unraveling. First in whispers, fatigue, confusion, a sense that something had been lost. Then louder. I was no longer the caretaker. I was the one curled up, watching as things slipped away. And yet, beneath all that loss was something wild, not reckless, just true. A pulse that hadn't left me, a root system I hadn't known I had. I begin to ask, what if my body isn't the problem? What if it's the messenger? What if softness is not surrender, but survival? What if healing isn't about going back, but learning to stay right here in this changed, sacred flesh?